Guys, this might just be the most important Bitcoin video you watch for the remainder of the year. And the reason I say might is because I do think it's a little bit far-fetched, but we got to talk about this fractal, man. Now, before we talk about the fractal, I just need to give you full disclosure. Number one, I do not trade fractals, okay? I don't trade them. However, I do believe that the market is fractal. What do I mean by that? I do mean that I think the 1 hour moves in oscillation the same way that the 4 hour moves, just on a lower term time frame, okay? I believe in the market maker models. I believe that your market makers are giving you the market maker models on all time frames, which is why you're able to swing trade and scalp trade with prediction, because we know that the market makers move fractally within the market, okay? But I wanted to bring this fractal to your attention, and I know 100 billion% not one other person on the planet is talking about this fractal. And I know that because the reason I even found it was random as shit. And I'm going to tell you why. So sometimes when I'm feeling not bored, but I want to like get some practice in, I come to the replay tool and I type random bar. Last night I did that on the 1 hour time frame, and it took me close to here. And I couldn't help but notice how similarly right here on May of 2023, okay? Right now, the range that we're in is April 26, 2023 to May 12, 2023, okay? It's about 2 weeks on the 1 hour time frame that we are looking at right now. And I couldn't help but notice how almost identical this looks to our current daily structure, okay? So this tab, if I flip here with the fractal, you're going to see this is the daily time frame. Oh, sorry, this is the daily time frame, okay, on Bitcoin on our current macro range that we've talked about many times. And this is the 1 hourly time frame on May of 2023. What do I mean by they look super duper similar? Well, I can tell you this already. We are already looking like we have a similar shape. And I just want to take you through it. And I want to remind you that I'm not suggesting this is going to happen, but I'm bringing it to your attention because in the event that it does happen, then I can send you the link to the haters, because there's been so many haters on Twitter lately. Then I can send you the link and I can say I told you so. But if it didn't happen, then we can all forget that this video happened. But nonetheless, nobody's talking about this and you need to know it. So what do we have here? Okay, we had put in our, what we're going to call, remember the yellow is your fractal. This is your 1 hour fractal from May. We put in what we're going to call the all-time high. Okay, so let's go through it. We're just going to go through it. We put in the all-time high. We had a little bit of a dump, all-time high, had a little bit of a dump. Okay, dump, right, whatever. Then we came back up and the second high that we put in did not take out the first high. So we left that liquidity, just like we do right now. And a lot of people are saying higher because of the liquidity, and I get it, but we're just going through the fractal, okay? So we have all-time high. Second high did not take out that high, okay? Second high, which is this guy, did not take out that high. Great. Then what do we have? A little bit of consolidation. Then what do we have? A little bit of consolidation. Obviously, the fractal is not going to be one-to-one, but the idea, the shape remains the same. This third high takes out the second high, but does not take out the first high, okay? Third high, which is this guy, takes out the second high, but does not take out the original high. So the liquidity remains intact. What do we get from there? We get a relative dump. You get your first wave, you get your second wave, consolidation, and then up you go. Here, you had your first wave, your second wave, consolidation, and then up you go. We never revisited this low. We never revisited this low. Keep that in mind. That is important for later. What do we get out of there? You get your first rise. You get your first rise. And remember, it's not going to be exact. Okay. You get your second rise, second rise. You could argue this is your third rise, third rise. Nonetheless, the point of this section, again, it's not going to be one-to-one, is that this liquidity did not take out this liquidity. So this remains intact. And this liquidity took out the consolidation liquidity. So we had consolidation here. This high took out this high. So far, we're on par, okay? It's looking spookily similar, okay? Then what do we have? We have our drop, consolidation, whatever, okay? And so this is the most important level right now, okay? So after, obviously, we took the high, you know, drop, right? Drop one, drop two, right? Drop one, drop two. Drop one, drop two. Only 2 drops. We never had our third drop. And by the way, to anybody that knows the market maker models, knows that we could be and we should be, I mean, maybe not now because things flip bullishly, but expecting a third drop. But we never had it in both the fractal and our real life scenario right now, right? First drop, never had it. First drop, second drop, never had the third drop, okay? What do you notice about the second drop, which is what we have here? This is your second drop. What do you notice about it? Let me get rid of this circle. What do you notice about the second drop? Well, this second drop, if I come back to the 1 hour time frame, look at this, guys. We had put in your initial low, okay, we're on the daily, initial low, and then we never actually came back to sweep this low, right? We never had the drop level 3, and we never came back to touch this low. We never truly flipped structure bullishly, right? The same thing here. We've been talking about this liquidity for quite some time and how we were expecting to come lower because we also have this order block beneath us that we front ran. I've been talking about that on the channel, okay? So we have all that liquidity, and then what did we do? We ended up just blasting up. Right now, what did we do? We ended up just blasting up. Fine. But there's something that's important about this. Look at your structure on the way down. I've been making videos saying that I'm not going to get bullish until 64K is broken and closed above on the daily time frame. Okay, we're getting that right now, right? We've had that. So you would think, okay, expectational order flow is high or low to make a higher high, right? But this fractal says otherwise, okay? We have all this liquidity that we can come and grab. Right now, where we are is up here. And I want to bring something to your attention. Here as well, you flipped bullish. If we come back up, we're on the 1 hour now. Sorry for flipping and flopping. You had down, you had up, you had down, and then you flipped it bullishly. The exact same thing that's happening right now. Guys, look at how identical this looks. If I zoom in here, you barely break, but you still break. Let's get rid of the doodles. Let's get it nice and perfect. Okay. We'll make it nice. We'll make it look nice. If we get our horizontal line, here's your BOS line. Okay. Well, then we ranged here for a little bit, which we could still do, sure. But you had your break of structure line, which means expectational order flow would have been high or low to make a higher high. The same thing that happens here. You have your break of structure here on the daily time frame while you have all that liquidity, while you have everybody excited, okay, while you have every bullish narrative in the book right now. And so everything right now currently looks the same for this point. Remember, this is a fractal of your 1 hour. So this is implying we're going to get a massive wick and a massive dump down. Well, why could we get that? We could get that because we never actually rebalanced our imbalance, right? This is still inefficient price action, and we never came to hit this order block. We front ran it, okay? We know that whenever you have an accumulation, you could be, and you should be you are to be expecting a second tap that sweeps up that liquidity. And now remember, I don't trade fractals, and I'm not suggesting that this is going to happen, but I just think it's rather interesting how identical these fractals are. And I think it's rather interesting that I happen to just find it randomly. I mean, this is kind of crazy. So we have the break of structure, right? But I'm going to take it a little bit further. Let's look at the volume profile. The volume profile is pulled from the exact high as it is in my macro on my daily, okay? This, if it ever loads, is pulled from the value area high. Look at how close they look. Even your value areas is the exact same. Look at where your point of control is. Guys, you can't even make this up. I'm like, the fact that I'm even making this video is blowing my mind because I randomly found this yesterday. Like crazy. I don't know who's talking to me. The TA gods are talking to me, the chart gods, the market makers. I don't know, but look at where your value areas are. Okay? Look at where your value areas are. That's pretty interesting that they line up perfectly. They line up literally perfectly, right? All the highs that remain intact, the value areas are almost look identical, right? And what is important about these value areas? Well, we know when it comes to volume theory that whenever you get acceptance back within the value area low, you are likely going to make your way to the value area high, okay? We know this. This is a fact. Now, this is interesting because you had the structure flip and then you had the value area confirmation, and you even held there for a couple of days, okay? Before ultimately faking and going down to the downside, which is the exact same story that we have here. Fake out potentially. Again, I'm not saying that this is going to play out. Please don't show it right now. This is like just kind of a crazy thing that I found, and I just want to share it because I think it's super interesting. I'm not saying it's going to happen. It could happen, and if it does, I'm going to send you the link later and say I told you so. But if it doesn't, then we're going to forget this video ever happened. Look, I just think it's rather interesting how it looks identical. We fake out the value area low and then have a dump. Fake out the value area low potentially and then have a dump. What if? We know we have reason to come down. We know we have the liquidity just like we had the liquidity here. And whenever you build the liquidity like that, that is where you usually get those big moves down. Again, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I just think it's a rather interesting fractal here. And so what happens after that point, okay? After this, sorry for flipping back and forth, but what happens after we have that massive dump? Because that massive dump is here. Well, after that dump, you come and you tap this order block. If this is going to play out, you're going to get something like this, right? You're going to have a big wick. You're going to have a big candle. I don't know how big the candle is going to be, but you're going to have a big wick, whatever. This makes sense because, like I said, we have macro zones at 51K, 51.8. Specifically, 51.8 is a very strong zone, okay? This makes sense. And then what happens? We end up rolling over, right? We hit that wick. So this is relative to where 51.8 would be, potentially. And then you induce traders into going long again, and then you roll over before you inevitably, eventually get your reversal back to the upside, okay? But it takes some time. Now, if this were to happen, I believe this is going to trip up so many traders because traders don't think like you and I, okay? They don't think logically. They just think up only, up only, up only, when in reality, it doesn't need to be up only, up only, up only. Remember, I'm not suggesting that this is going to happen, but I just think it's kind of interesting how close it is, okay? And that it's a possibility, and how I was front run a little bit. We got into longs. I'm a scalper, guys. I don't care if price goes up or down, but I think it's rather interesting if we were to just go to all-time high from here. I think it's rather interesting. And this situation is also very, very interesting, okay? We know we have the divs on the weekly, on the monthly, etc., right? Now, with that being said, I also made another video talking about how I think these lows are going to go as well, okay? And so that would kind of line up with this continued further dump if we were to get that. And I think that if that were to happen, we would come down to maybe the low 40s, okay? 43-ish, I think. And then maybe from there, potentially, if this whole thing plays out, is going to take us to the all-time high. But I just think it's rather interesting how closely resembled these two points in the chart are. And remember, I don't trade. Anyways, I've said that many times. I'm not going to go over it again. One last thing I want to talk about before we end this video is from the all-time high, which we're going to call in the 1 hour, to the low, which is what we put in last week or 2 weeks ago, is approximately on the 1 hour time frame a 9% move, okay? 9.25% move. If we come on the daily time frame from the high to the low that we currently have is a 28% move. So 9, 18, 27, we'll call it 3 times, okay? So it's a multiple of 3, okay? So if we now take from the all-time high to where that fake out wick landed, it goes to 11.23. So a multiple of 3 of it is 33%. So we're talking a 33% down from the all-time high, give or take, okay, give or take, takes you towards this zone that I've been talking about, the order block beneath us, and how I think it's more likely that we're going to actually sweep that order block and get that wick through it, because I think a lot of people will have orders here and a lot of people will have their stop losses here, again, in the event that the fractal plays out, okay? So that's interesting as well. And then if we take it from the actual wick, or from the actual low that was put in, from the high to the low, remember, it's a multiple of 3, it's about 14%. So that's going to be, give or take, we'll say 42% down from the high, give or take. Where does that lead us to? That leads us approximately to the mid 40s or low 40s, 42, 43, which I think is a strong foundation for potentially the market to bounce in the event that it happens, okay? So, guys, listen. One thing, and I'm going to say this, and I'm going to be very open about it, Market Cypher does not look the same at all, okay? We weren't in a bull market. Now we are in a bull. I mean, I guess May a year ago was a bull market. But anyways, look, Market Cypher looks way different. And I'm not suggesting that it's going to happen because Market Cypher looks way different. I'm going to respect structure. I'm not going to put this fractal above structure and everything else that I trade. Absolutely not. Keep in mind, I'm a scalper. I don't care if price goes up or down. So I'm definitely not going to marry this idea. But I just think it's rather interesting that this is so identical. Okay. And again, if it happens, I'm going to say I told you so. But if it doesn't, we're going to forget this happened. But anyways, that's it. That's it, guys. Market Cypher looks different. And I don't know if it's going to happen. But man, this is the value areas. They look the same. Man, anything is possible in this market, guys. And if you don't know that by now, then you're about to find out. Whether it goes up or it goes down, you're going to find out eventually. Anyways, that's it for this video, guys. If you like the video, hit the like button. If you love the video, make sure to hit the subscribe button with the notification bell, because I oftentimes give timely updates and I do live streams where I get into positions and I trade with you. I do scalping sessions. So make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button with the notification bell. Shout out to the sponsors of the channel, Market Cypher, and all my links are in the description down below. To anybody that is helping support me, I appreciate you. And I will catch you guys in the next one. And for the Bulls' sake, hopefully this doesn't happen. For the Bears' sake, hopefully it happens. I think it's going to be funny either way, man. I think it's going to be funny because a lot of people hound me thinking like, oh, it can't go down, it can't go down. Blah, blah, blah. Maybe, but look, not saying the fractal is going to happen. I'm not trying to spread FUD around it, but they're so identical. Let me know in the comments if you think they are identical.